Hello and welcome everyone to the Wedding Guide podcast. I am your host, Pete the Celebrant, and we are proudly sponsored by Easy Weddings. Easy Weddings helps thousands of couples nail their big day every year. With their award-winning directory and mobile apps, you can find and book top-rated wedding suppliers, stay on track with their planning tools, or for a more hands-off approach, work with a wedding planner to save you time and money. And the best thing, it's free. So jump on to easyweddings.com.au today to start your stress-free journey up the aisle. Joining us today for the episode is Naomi Therese from Fat and Skinny Catering. Naomi is awesome and she shares with us how and why she began her business, the values that keep it running, and what you can expect from that very first email that you send them all the way to your wedding day with having them as your caterer. Please be aware, there is a slight language warning for little ears. Allow me to introduce you to the truly awesome Naomi Therese. Well, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Wedding Guide podcast. And today we have with us Naomi from Fat and Skinny Catering. Naomi, how are you?
I am truly fantastic. This is the first day in 8 months that I actually know what's going on. And I'm wrapped.
This is good. Yeah. It's nice to know
it
vaguely at least what's going on.
But yes, it is a catering business in hospitality, so it's always going to have anomalies to get thrown around. But it's looking good. It's looking exciting.
Yeah.
And future's bright.
It is. Now, I'll let everyone know that we met. Well, we didn't meet until a little later on, but either yourself or your team contacted me before a wedding, and it was the 19th of January 2020. Now, whenever anyone says to me, "Can I give you food?" I'm like, I'm hook, line and sinker. I'm done. So they sent me an email saying, "Hey, you're doing this wedding. We're catering. Come by after. Come say hello." And it was in their house, so you were catering through the house, and I went in, and your team were fantastic, and they just started just giving me this incredible food. And in particular, all I remember was the sauce. I think it was the Thai sauce with the coconut balls.
Salad. Yes. Yep.
And it was just blew me away. It was love at first bite. It really was incredible.
That makes me really happy.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, no other caterer has done that. No, it's rare for another supplier to reach out to another, and particularly to say, "Hey, just come say hello, and we'll feed you food." And that's my love language. So I really appreciate it.
I found that really strange. I have never worked in hospitality before I started a catering business, which was nearly 18 years ago now. The lack of hospitality in hospitality was very strange. And we'd cross paths with all these people and you'd sort of wave and that was it. It's like, we're technically colleagues for the day. And particularly guys like you and the photographers who run solo. You are part of something really intimate and quite emotional. And then you get back in your car and drive home by yourself. That's it. That's the end. It just wears a little bit of, how cool is this? How lovely is this? Let's share in this. We get to hear your magic and participate in that, and it makes me cry. Why wouldn't we do the same back to you and then make it a stronger community around each other as well? Because in that time we had to move a wedding because it was rainy, and you got in the kitchen and helped us move it all and that sort of thing. That might not have happened had we not known each other, but of course we're all got each other's backs.
Yeah.
But it's much easier if you know each other. And I really like talking, so this gives me more. And my staff are sick of the stories I've got, whereas you're like fresh meat.
Exactly. So
yeah.
maybe
and it's been brilliant. I've met so many people this way and had so much more fun. I think everybody has more fun with that kind of generosity. And generosity is, one of the pillars of our business. It doesn't matter what it is that you're offering, as long as it's generous. It doesn't need to be the fanciest. It doesn't need to be the most expensive. You're not trying to prove a point, but you do want that sense of warmth and welcome, and you're full, and yeah.
100%.
But I'm glad we met. Yes.
Me too. Yes. Now, Naomi, since then, everyone, we've done a few weddings together. One I can remember was at was it a brewery? I can't remember the brewery's name.
Mountain Goat.
Yeah, it was Mountain Goat. Yeah, I was thinking it's not Moondog. Yeah, Mountain Goat. and then you've had a few other industry nights, and that you've got another one coming up where you just shower everyone with food and love. And why don't you fun, of course, and alcohol, which is probably part of the fun. It's all included. It's all big gift wrap of goodness.
Yeah.
Take us back to the start. How did Fat and Skinny Catering begin?
So it actually started at my own wedding. I got married to the father of my children nearly 20 years ago, and the food was awful and served on plastic. And I didn't know what my options were. I just didn't know that you could pick whatever, pick things or choose things or change things, and I was just a bit underwhelmed by it all. Everyone was well fed and it was fine. No one knew. And my new mother-in-law, who I still love to death, I'm not married anymore. She was talking to the winery anyway, had the wedding, and they were looking for a lunchtime cook. And she said, why don't you give her a go? Give Naomi a go. She's great. She's an amazing cook. I didn't know this, but my immediate family, being Catholic, is 52 people. So cooking for lots of people came quite naturally to me. But I didn't know that I had this event-style skill at this stage. So I went up there with some magic soup and a lumberjack cake. And they're like, yeah, all right, we'll give you a go. And it worked. They enjoyed it, and I did the lunch thing, and they started doing weddings, and I started doing that. And it was like, I know this is a wanky term, but that aha moment, like, I say this often, I've been kissed on the dick by a fairy. I have this mad set of skills that when you put them all together, I'm really good at this, and I really love it. I love weddings. I love the love. I love being that intimate with the customer because it's so important. You've got one chance to get married. You've got to get it right. You've got to put the same amount of effort in as what the occasion calls for.
Yeah.
So then that happened, and then I was there for about 2 years. They sold to another catering business. I left my husband, so within 2 years, so not very long at all, bought a really old crap house, pulled out the kitchen, the laundry, the toilet and the bathroom, put in a commercial kitchen, and raised my 2 children by myself, and ran a catering business from home as a cottage business. I did that, and I did meals into people's houses. I had keys to everyone's house around here, and I'd deliver their dinners. I did functions, and I did the odd wedding here and there, depending on the kids. And it's suited because babysitting's easier to find on a Saturday night. And then about 5 years ago, I was really sick and decided I don't want to live this life anymore, where it's just the struggle and the stress, and the kids were getting older. And I planned that once they sort of hit an age where they wouldn't need babysitting and that sort of thing, I'd move into a commercial premises, so I wasn't working from home. And that was 3 and a bit years ago. It took 8 months to get the permits through and build because, of course, I didn't want just your average factory. I wanted a shop with windows and colours and fun. So I built the kitchen. I built the kitchen myself, and I had a plumber in, and I had an electrician in, and I built it and put it in, and we painted the walls, and we've been here ever since, and we've just extended the lease. And now we do like 5 to 6 weddings a week when we're not in COVID. And it's amazing. It's the most amazing job. Like, even in the hardest days, the days are the worst days I've ever had in my life, it's still better than going to work every day for somebody else and not being empowered and not being able to live by your values.
Yeah.
So I think my proudest achievement is to have got this far and to have this beautiful business, and how I have not fucked one person over. You don't have to be a shark or hurt anybody or take anybody for a ride. You can do it with integrity, and that's the bit I'm most proud of. So now we're here. Now we're at this stage where we were strong enough to hold through the whole COVID crisis, just hold and hold and hold, and we're about to start again. And I think it's going to give us the opportunity to streamline a lot of our processes. And my main focus working here is looking after the people that work with me. And so make sure that that's a bit better, because my communication can be a bit wonky sometimes in that. Hold on, I have to taste the meat. It's coming out.
Hi.
Oh, this is Jen.
Yeah, hi.
This is your favourite fan.
How are you?
You good? You good? It's still nice and moist because it's dry. Yeah.
I can't chew it now. I'm nervous.
I just had lunch and now I'm like hungry again just from
Yeah. It was nice of her to come. She knew I was doing this, so she came up, although she just screams at me from the other end. I'm going! So yeah, it was, from that wedding day, the marriage didn't quite work out, but I got this career out of it.
Yeah.
And so not a bad result, really.
Not a bad result. And great
Not a
kids, I
bad
imagine,
result.
as well. So
They're beautiful. They're 21 and 19 now. So they're just, one's finishing uni and one works full-time at Bunnings, and they're happy,
nice.
healthy people. And I wanted to model that for them.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like for an adult to live a healthy, happy life.
Yeah.
And have. Yeah.
Well, to those values, particularly of integrity and, as you said, not fucking anyone over, you can see that in your staff. You really care about your staff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I got a lot of venues. You see a lot of people working in the hospitality. They're there, they're doing a job. And then you meet your staff and they're just with massive smile on their face the whole day. So the culture you
they're
cultivate.
really well supported here. So we don't pay them minimum wage because they don't do minimum work. They can only work 3 weekends in a row. They have to have weekends off because you can't have a normal life. Particularly, we've got a lot of young staff who are uni students. Their friends are turning 21 and they've got parties to go to and they've got nightclubs to attend and they've got shenanigans to get up to. You can't do that if you're locked so tightly. Like, you can't live properly if you have to do that sort of thing. Yeah. We also coordinate the shifts around that sort of thing. We've got a lot of mums here. So that flexibility is for them as well. So they've got room to move. You're allowed to work as many shifts as you like, but you have to have a break every 3 weeks because you go nuts.
Yeah.
It's the strangest hours and the strangest work, and it's hard work, it's really, everyone puts in a lot of effort. Yeah, I think I'm really fortunate with the people that I have around me. It just makes it worth it, makes it worthwhile. And it was probably the most stressful thing when we first shut down from Corona, was worrying about them and how they were going to be okay. And then JobKeeper was announced and most of them were fine. But some of them are, they're relying on this to feed their own children.
Yeah.
This is how I got by. I got by because I needed the flexibility. This is why I started in the way that it runs now. Nothing else matters but the people. People first, always, always, always. If you get that bit right, everything else will work. Because if people don't care or people don't try, what is the point? What's the point of it all? Yeah. Yeah. So it's that's a savvy business decision, but I actually can't operate from another angle. I'm too soft. I'm just Yeah. And I think kindness carries a lot of weight. Makes a big difference.
100%. Why do you think, and I feel like I could almost answer this myself, but why do you think couples, maybe what do couples tell you the reason that they choose you?
Probably the best compliment we ever had was we're working with a new bigger venue soon, so this is not necessarily a couple. And I was a bit surprised that they picked us because we're not a particularly large catering company. I don't want to necessarily be. We're quite boutique and specialise in weddings and, fancy events that suit our style. We're very low-key, no bullshit sort of approach to it all, and very clear communicators. I said to them, why did you pick us? I don't know why you asked this in a business discussion anyway, why? Why us? And they said, because you're not a dickhead. And I think that's actually probably a good answer to your question, is that we will give you the answers. It's not confusing. Often you get quotes from different suppliers for things and they're pages long and you need to add the bits together. I know what you'll need in terms of staff and how much volume of food and that sort of thing. You get to pick the style of food and the flavours you prefer and that sort of thing. But you don't need to be all of a sudden learning, just because you're planning your wedding, learn how many staff you need and what platters you need and what this happens and run sheets and all sorts of things. Offering advice is very easy. The other thing we do is anticipate the needs of particularly brides. We deal more with brides than we do grooms, and either way we don't mind. We don't have bridezillas. Bridezillas happen because brides are wigging out and they don't know and they're not being listened to and they're stressed. One, listening to people goes a really long way to when they're stressed.
Yeah.
And to anticipating that this stress happens over and over and over again. Very similar stresses. For that person, it's really unique. But for the situation, we've seen this exactly this behaviour over and over and over again. Anticipate it and short-circuit it, so they never have to get stressed in the first place.
Yeah.
So the reassurance makes a massive difference to them being able to trust us, and then we're actually there on the day as well. So they know that all the way through we're going to be there. And it's one of my favourite parts of the job. I'm often the last person to speak to a bride before she goes and gets married. If they're coming through the kitchen in a venue to go out, or if they're getting married at home, you know, and she's beside herself, and I'm the one handing her a tissue, and I'm the one saying, you got this, so this is the best decision you've ever made. Now go get fucking married. Yes. Like, and it makes such a difference because I'm like a life raft. On the outside, I am emotionally involved, but I'm not emotionally attached. And so they've got this person that they can just rely on for a little bit. And just the intimacy of that is extraordinary. Like, how do you get where someone is that vulnerable and you get to stand next to them and go, no, you got this. You got this. This is great. This is great. And so when they walk down the aisle, they are filled with that, yeah, I got this. This is great. This is so much fun. It should be fun.
Yeah.
Falling in love with somebody and then wanting to celebrate that in front of all your people is such a great idea.
Yeah.
Humans have been doing it for forever. It's a wonderful thing to do. And it's a big undertaking. So,
it is.
But it's worth it. Yeah.
100%.
And I'm not going to be the person that makes that wedding stuff up. Absolutely bloody not. Like, not on my watch. I've been in floods and in fires and power outages and all sorts of stuff. Not my fault. Bride doesn't need to know. Doesn't need to know. I've had a bridesmaid put her hand into the cake to eat it because she was so drunk. Okay, let's get all the flowers off, hide all the flowers on the big chunk of cake that's missing. Bride doesn't need to know that her bridesmaid is loose and the cake's wrecked. We see all sorts of things. So, and nothing's ever got the better of me yet. So, and you train your staff in the same way. Expect this sort of thing to happen.
Yeah.
Simplify it.
So what's your process with couples?
They contact us via email first, and we send out as much information as we think they need at this point. So they need a price list, which they can access on the internet anyway, but they firstly need to know how much you are and whether they can afford it. We send them out information about other people they might want to have a look at that are in a similar vein to us, that are in that style, and then we encourage them to contact us back, and we will contact you. And then they usually book about a year in advance, normally.
Yep.
And we do a lot of contact with the beginning so that they're reassured about and let them know what the process will be. And then we leave them alone for a little bit. So they can come to us and call any time. We don't hound them with anything. Just, if you need us, we're right here. And then about a month or so out from the wedding, we're like, you ready? You excited? It's coming. And often we've been speaking to them anyway. And we start prepping for the wedding on the Wednesday before the wedding. So everything's really fresh as well. So they can make any changes up until 10 days, 2 weeks beforehand. And even then we can swing it a little bit. So say someone is able to come now, but they've got lots of dietary requirements, but they're really special. Is that okay? We can fit that in. We do that sort of stuff. It's hard to because you go all the way through that whole year waiting with them, waiting for this to happen. And then on the day, I try not to be a squealing maniac when they arrive. She's here! She's here! Oh my God, she's here! I often go out and say hello and, but not in their face. I just go out and see how she's going, and we often have a little chat. And then we cook dinner for everybody they love. And it's not the fanciest food, and it's not necessarily the prettiest. It's got no wanky bits, no smears on a plate. I'm not trying to be clever. I'm just trying to make food for the people that is lots of it, so you're full so you can dance all night. And everyone complains about not having enough food at a wedding, and I don't understand, because it's maths. It's not that hard. It's not that hard, and easy to be generous. It really is. And it costs us nothing to make sure that everyone's cooked for. So we cook for 1.1 people for every person. Tiny difference. And then, but at the end, when you times that out by 100, you have more than enough food.
Yeah.
And that if you've got the hungriest of hungry people, we can keep feeding them. And we actually have never run out of food based on that formula. And it's to have the reputation of a business that will guarantee that you will be well fed on your wedding day with good food, not crap.
Yeah.
Is huge for people. It's a huge reassurance for people. That brings us a lot of business, which makes us more money. That 1.1 that we add to the thing is nothing. It costs us nothing to do it, pretty much. I don't know why you wouldn't, because what's the point? Like, dinner for 100 people is a lot of money. Whether you're buying a cheap deal or an expensive deal, it's still a lot of money for 100 people. Just do it properly. Do it properly. Yeah, I think that, and it comes down to being a bit Dutch. Like, either it's right or it's wrong. That doesn't make sense. Like, if that doesn't make sense, it won't be done. It's just like, no, that doesn't make sense. So, yeah, I think a lot of it came from my own experience of getting married all those years ago and just not knowing.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that I didn't know it. So, yeah. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, 100%.
Really.
No, that definitely answers I think the question. I think, for couples what need to know, they email you first, you give them all the information they need. And very similar to myself, when I meet, I give them all the information they need, even just that first up. Here's my price, straight front up. Yeah. And then, because I don't want to meet with someone and they're actually, it's not like, here's how much I am. I'd love to be part of your day. And then from there, it's just giving them information. And then I say, hey, we're going to chat 3 to 4 months before your ceremony. So it's sort of giving a little bit of a gap, because like you said, a year before, you don't want to be hounded by someone every week with some email of nothing.
No, it's boring.
Yeah.
And it's just consistent in our approach to it all. Like that, more than anything, it's reassuring. Like, you can ask any questions. None of them are stupid. And I often talk about having your knickers in a knot in your head. You've got all the answers, but you've tangled yourself up and you can't untangle it. But if you just talk to someone and they listen, you often get the clarity of what you want. And I think I'm the genius that's come up with the answer. And I'm like, no, mate, you did it. You did it. I just gave you an opportunity for you to slow down enough to think about it, because there's so many decisions to make. And we talk. And if you want me to come and meet you, I meet you. And we have a chat, because some people find that they can understand the chemistry between us much easier if we meet. But most don't even necessarily want to do that. They trust us off the mark. So, And we don't do taste testing. So we were one of the first wedding caterers to just refuse to do taste testing. And the main reason for that was the cost. So the cost of doing taste testing is really high for you got 2 or 4 people having dinner. The difference between cooking for 4 people and cooking for 100 people is very different. It's also expensive. Where does that cost go? Where does it, it has to then be built back into the price that you'll be paying at the other end. And our reputation is really good enough for us people to know that the food is good. And it hasn't caused us any loss of bookings, ever. Just that time that it takes, I then put into recipe development and staff training and all of those sorts of things behind the scenes. Instead of spending money on this thing, which is actually going to give you nothing, because you're not going to know what it's going to taste like on the day, because very different styles of cooking and depends on what you're eating off the menu and that sort of thing. I reinvest into things that on the day will make a massive difference to your wedding. Staff that are happy, staff that are calm and supported, food that is fresh, food that comes in and goes out and is safe and easy and delicious every single time. So those processes are most important to me.
Well, I can highly vouch for your food. Everything I've eaten is delicious. And I feel like that's probably one of the that is the most important thing. It has to taste good, but it's fresh as well. A lot of particularly your salads are they're different, they're unique, but they're like,
Yeah.
they're great. And
Yeah.
anything meat is just, you know,
Delicious.
incredible.
And it is all cooked fresh. So the food comes in on a Wednesday, all of it.
Yeah.
And then on Friday, the second round of greens and fresh herbs and that sort of stuff come in. And on Saturday morning, it's all chopped. Like it's cut and served to you that day, because soggy salad is shit. Like shit just at dinner, let alone at a wedding. It's just awful. Like if you want that, go to Safeway and get some coleslaw from the deli. Like, it's slippery. Why is the salad slippery? I eat a lot of salad. I always have. I love it, and I can't stand eating like that. So, and I grow a lot of stuff. So I grow a lot of stuff that comes in here, like the specialty stuff, the hidden ingredients that make things taste different, and you can't put your finger on it. I grow a lot of that in my backyard.
Those special brownies you serve, hey?
The pretty special brownies I serve. I haven't done that yet. I might do a special treat for somebody one day. Just go, surprise! That would break people's day too, though.
Yeah, well, it depends on the couple. It might be what they order.
Yes.
So obviously, like with COVID coming up, and COVID coming up, it's not there to be served. How's that impacted your business though? Like, how will things change? Will things be the same?
Yeah. At the beginning, it devastated our business. So it brought us to our knees. We lost 90 weddings this year. They postponed or cancelled.
Yeah.
We have wonderful clients, and they're pretty understanding, and we set systems in place to help them postpone really easily and for the same price. And we gave them the tools they would need to do that, and the way to go about it. So first you had to pick your celebrant, your venue, and your photographer, because they can only be in one place at one time. We're far more flexible. So get them locked down first and then move forwards. The first couple were really sad because it was 3 days out, and I was calling it before shutdown. I was the first in the industry to say, I'm not doing this, it's not safe. I was threatened to be sued. I was like, you're being hysterical. You are making a mountain out of a molehill. And I said, I hope I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm happy to wear egg on my face. Like, I'm happy for that to happen. But if I'm not wrong, your grandma might die. You might not be able to go to someone's funeral in 2 weeks' time. We don't know. And if we don't know, it's not safe. That's one reason. 2, your wedding's fucked. It's fucked. 20 people can come. And they're all going to be talking about COVID and wearing like terrified, and there'll be no leak from you at your wedding. So it's so that was really tough. And then we held and made a plan and sort of stuck to that, and it was working okay. We were like, we'll just start building ready for October. We'll just hold on. We're going to be okay. But none of us had done this, and I hadn't done this before. So Nat Sproul and I spoke early. It's another celebrant that you know. Great celebrant. And started a Facebook group to support the entire industry and how to write the emails. What do we say? A lot of us had, or all of us actually had, terms and conditions that didn't have pandemic in it. So there were things like that. And then the ACCC adjusted things that allowed that to be included, even if it wasn't included in our, because it was unforeseen. So things like legal implications, money implications, how do we postpone? Are we allowed to charge an extra fee? This couple wants this couple wants that, this couple wants to pretend that it's happening and it's not happening. And so supporting each other through all of that. And that made a massive difference, being part of a really big community that did that. And then the second lockdown probably broke me, I think. I was really... I don't know how we're going to survive. I don't know how it's going to move forwards. I don't know what it's going to look like in the future. And to have 8 months of no trading was huge. And then who am I without this? And do I even want to go back? I think I was most scared that I'd lost the love for what I do. And I don't think you can do this unless you love it, because it's so intense and stressful. But I made little plans as we went along, and then they'd get, knocked back and then. But we're here now, and I'm as ready as I can be. And I did my first wedding on Tuesday. I got another one on Saturday, and I got out of bed so fast when the alarm got off. I was so excited. And all day just couldn't believe that I loved it this much and that I was back, and
Yeah.
I can't wait to do more of it. And I think I was so relieved that I still feel this way, because I was so hurt by what had happened. I just didn't know what was going to, and to support my team through it as well was really difficult, because more than anything, I was the most fucked. Like, really just, and I had just bought the week before lockdown, I bought a new home with my new partner. And so I had to sell my house during a pandemic whilst trying to save my business. And it was really stressful. And I had to reapply for the mortgage and prove my income until June 2021 with nothing. And I made the plan that I made, and it went to the bank. They approved. And that gave me so much confidence. It's like, I am good at this. I do understand what's going on. I can write numbers. I wigged out like no man's business. I can't even add, this spreadsheet's wrong. But in the end, I do. Trust yourself, trust your instinct. Stop overthinking everything all the time. Just, that be in the moment thing, although it's wanky, is true. There is only right now, because the amount of times I've made decisions going, right, this is what's going to happen from here, and had it pulled out from under me is several times this year. And it gives you, the only thing I had to go on that was reliable was my gut. And it's never let me down before. So I look forward to the challenges of working now from that space. And as a leader of this business, I've always been really cautious of not wanting to be better or above anybody else. And I struggled with that, being the boss of this place, to step into that role more comfortably. So I don't have to be the boss of anybody. They're the boss of themselves. They're all grown-ups. They know what they're doing. But I'm the leader here, and I'll lead us out of this, and to own that idea and how empowering it is. And that does rely on a lot of gut instinct, and I'm not stupid and I'm not crazy. Like, I'm fun and I'm bonkers, but I'm harmless. But I do have a lot of things I can rely on within myself. Yeah, so I'm excited. I think it's going to be great. At one point next year, I think in March sometime, I've got something like 16 weddings in 10 days. I'm like, but I'm setting up for this now by training the staff now. Don't just wait till you get to the other end, and have some faith in what's going to happen. And if we lock down again, which I don't think will happen, I think if we have outbreaks, there'll be tightening of restrictions and that sort of thing to keep us safe. We'll be okay. We'll still be okay. We'll just hold. And I think because I've never run the business to make money, I do make money. I have to get a wage, and because what's the point?
You've got to live.
It's not. It's like I operate it from I measure my success in abundance rather than money. So the experience I have and the life that I lead, and that I'm not in financial distress, or nor is any of my staff around me. Really basic stuff. It's not about the end dollar result. So I think we would survive anyway, because I would do anything to keep it. I don't know who I'd be without this now. So we're sort of entwined a little bit, which is good.
Yeah,
it's much easier working now, from a space in the last couple of years than working from home. Being able to separate yourself from work is much healthier. So
Cool. What do you wish couples knew?
They have choices. They're allowed to ask questions. They're allowed to be scared. They're allowed to be stressed. And that on the day, everybody you've hired, and this is why it's important to get the fit right of the person you're hiring and the style that they are, will do everything they can to make sure your day's great. Let go, because we will catch every single other thing, like everything. We've seen it all. Immerse yourself in this experience, because it is more emotional than you could imagine. It's more powerful and more important than even the magazines say. It's not about being a princess for a day. The main thing is the main thing, which is you get to marry the love of your life. You get to express your love for somebody that you want to spend the rest of your life with, in front of everybody else that you love. And you don't get to do that very often. You don't get to be in a room with everybody you love very often. Just do that. Just do that. Just be in the room and with the person. Don't forget to look around. It's not a show. It's actually something really real. I know there's a massive market and there's loads of hype and lots of stuff goes on. All of those things are important. And any way you want to express that love and get married, whether it's an elopement or a big giant wedding for 400 people, that is up to you, how you choose to do it. But don't get lost in the show, because it's not. It's not a performance. It's real life. And this, it's the pointy end. The other thing I'd like them to know probably is that the couple of weeks after your wedding is really sad. It's really hard. Because your focus is so pointy on this one day, and then that focus stops and it's got nowhere to go. And it's just that energy. So although you're happy together and you're having honeymoon and that sort of stuff, there's this hollowness to the amount of energy you put towards this one thing needs to be directed somewhere else. Just give it some time to disperse into the things that you love more in life again. So, because it is intense for a little bit, and people feel really guilty for feeling shit afterwards. So I often contact my brides a couple of days or weeks afterwards, depending if they're going away, and I say, "You're feeling a bit shit." And they're like, "Yes, how do you know?" Because it's fair. It's a reasonable response to have, but it's one that's not talked about, and there seems to be a little bit of shame around it too. But there's so much emotion. It is huge, huge, huge. Yeah.
What's your best advice to couples?
Other than what I just said, it would be being in the moment, in the day. Don't forget to be in the day. Find people who you connect with. So like when you bought a car and you knew the car was right, or you found your home and you knew it was right, or if you've got children and you're sending them to school, the school feels right. When it feels right, it's usually right. Trust your gut. And if it doesn't feel right, look around and ask as many questions as you want. The questions for me are really easy to answer. I know the answers because this is my profession. So it doesn't bother me. It takes me 5 seconds to answer a question. For them, it's a huge deal. It could really be very distracting and quite stressful, whereas just ask a question. It's easy.
Yeah.
You don't bother me. I'm here to serve you. That's what my job is to look after you. The whole time that we're engaged with each other. And then even afterwards, I love hearing about when babies are born and kids are going to school or they've moved house And I do often hear, and I hear about someone when they break up, I get really sad. You can often pick that early too. But I'm not in that business of telling you whether you should or shouldn't get married. I don't know about this one. It's not often, but yeah. Enjoy it. It's meant to be fun.
Cool. Thanks. Mary, thank you so much. You've shared so much. Thank you for just sharing about, the beginnings of Fat and Skinny, the process, just everything. Thank you for being real as well. I know I appreciate everyone listening will really appreciate that too. So please, if you are planning a wedding, if you know someone planning a wedding, point them in Naomi's direction. She will, as you heard, she will give them all the answers she can. And I guarantee you, your wedding will be a catering success.
I hope so. Thank you for having me on and popping my podcast cherry. I haven't been involved. I was famous when you asked me. I was like, oh, I'm fancy. I'm a fancy lady. I'm very proud of what I do, though, so I'm happy to talk about it.
You should be.
I'm proud of the work we all do here. So,
Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Please get in contact with Naomi. Have an incredible week. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it.